I do want, frankly, I'd be failing not to bring you this story. I don't know if you clocked this. A Royal Mail worker has, I can't, honestly, I saw the video of this and I thought, this isn't true. Sure, really? A Royal Mail worker sparked outrage online, well, outrage anywhere, frankly, after ignoring the pleas of a 72-year-old who'd slipped over in the snow. The shocking footage shows the postal worker ignoring Patricia Stewart despite her persistent pleas for help as she lay on the ground in her own driveway. So this fella is the postman, and if you're watching online at the moment, go to YouTube, Talk Radio, you'll see the footage. The audio is sadly so rubbish, I can't bring it to you, but when you have a close-up listen to it, you hear what the postman says. This is obviously clocked on someone's personal home CCTV. So there he is, delivering the mail. And he notices Patricia is on the ground. She's fallen over in her own driveway. So postman arrives. Patricia's fallen over. She says, can you help me? She's 72. She's cacked over in the snow and the ice. She's 72. I mean, she obviously wants some assistance. And what? What better way to judge things? The postie shows up. How? It doesn't get any better, sure. Just as you need help, the postman shows up. He turns to her and says, this is in Falkirk, by the way. He turns to her and says, I can't help. I'm absolutely knackered. Absolutely knackered. And then he leaves. Postman Pat leaves the scene. Patricia is still on the deck. Undoubtedly in some level of distress. She's 72 and she's fallen over. Luckily, a Hermes worker, it's all about the van guys, arrived a short time afterwards and called on a neighbour to help. The Royal Mail confirmed they were investigating the incident further. And every now and again, one of your fellow human beings does something and you scratch your head, and no matter what angle you look at it at, because often there's an uncomfortable story that sort of slightly challenges our conventional thinking, and it rattles around in your head and you think, well, it's a bit daft, or it's a bit weird, or the conclusion was a bit skew-if, but I disagree with them, but I understand how that happened. I can understand what happened. But with this, not only, it would have made more sense almost, as if the guy just walked away and said nothing at all. But while poor old Patricia is laid on the ground, he doesn't just walk away. He actually gives his reason for not being able to help her. He gives a reasoned answer, which means he's clearly done a mental assessment. Here I am, I'm a postman in a community. Old lady has fallen over. She's on the ground. He's standing up looking down at her, and he explains his reasons. That he says, I can't help, I'm knackered. Absolutely knackered. Had he been on a marathon or something, this fella? I know posties get up early, it's a long old round, and your sack of doom is very heavy. I understand the difficulties and the pressures on the job of being a postal worker. How knackered would you have to be to not assist a 72-year-old woman who'd fallen over? Because your instinct wouldn't matter. It wouldn't come into it. It's not as if he said, I've got a bad back, and if I bend down, my lower spine will snap. So it's a permanent... So fortunately, I can't help you. I might have understood that. If he'd said, we've got these really weird COVID restrictions, that would have been under the banner of health and safety gone mad, but you'd have gone, okay, he was just being daft and he was taking it to the letter of the law. But it was none of that. He didn't even go to the neighbour's house and go, look, I'm sorry, there's a woman over there. She's fallen over. She's 72. She might have broken something. Unfortunately, I'm the postman and I'm very knackered today, so could you help instead? If he'd have said that and attempted to displace his knackeredness with at least an attempt to help, but he didn't do that. He said, I'm cream crackered, and legged it, leaving the 72-year-old on the deck, potentially with a broken bone. The Royal Mail said here's their spokesman for the Royal Mail. They said, "Oh, he's great, our Steve." No, they didn't say that. The Royal Mail said they expect the highest standards of behaviour from our people while out on deliveries and collections at all time. We regularly remind our postmen and postwomen of the important role they play in local communities. We are very sorry to learn of this incident and for the distress the incident has caused. We are in touch with the customer concerned and will be investigating the incident. We tried to speak to the postman, but unfortunately he was too knackered to answer our email. I made up the last bit, by the way. But you take the broad point. They are investigating. So poor old knackered postman. We don't know who this postman is. If you're looking online, you'll see the footage of this half-wit turning up at the house. You can't see poor old Pat, really. You can't see her really in the video, can you? Because she's on the deck. She's fallen down. She's somewhere behind the fence. It looks sort of outside her own front door. And there you'll see right now, there's the postman. He's looking down at her and he's assessing the situation. God, good job he doesn't work in A&E, isn't it? Man, I imagine that turning up in your hospital booth. "I need a gallbladder removed." "I'm very sorry, sir. I'm a bit knackered today. Can't do that." I know he's a postman, but man alive, you're also a human being, fella. Help the poor old girl out, for goodness sake. She's 72. Extraordinary. So there it is. And I've tried to look for that mysterious other angle on this that I might be missing. And there actually isn't one.